Mona Lisa's Smile, the movie directed by Mike Newell and follows Catherine Ann Watson, played by Julia Roberts, an art history teacher from Berkeley, comes to Wellesley, America's one of the most prestigious institutions, in 1953. So Catherine thinks that actually expects that to inspire young women, but however, when she comes to Wellesley, she discovers that these institutions actually functions as a finishing school for preparing young girls for the marriage life rather than a genuine center of education, higher education. So here, Bowman and Dill mentions that in order to understand an organization, we need to look beyond its formal statement of purposes, but to recognize the less visible goals which will shape the institution's daily life. The key character is, of course, Catherine. She's a protagonist, progressive art teacher, and she prioritizes critical thinking over conformity. In one of the episodes, she says, in one of the scenes, she says that I was thinking I'm heading to a place that will turn out future leaders, not future wives. Here her expectations misalign with the institution's real, let's say, practice. So Bowman and Deal, she's a great, first of all, Catherine is a great example of an HR frame. Bowman and Deal talks about HR frame through the human needs and organizational requirements. They mention that organizations exist in order to serve human needs, and when the fit between them aligns, then they will both benefit. But when there is a bad fit, then both of them will suffer. Here at Wellesley institution prioritize its tradition, continuity, and conformity, which does not align neither with students' needs nor the faculty's needs. In the earlier episodes, when a principal's assistant engaged Catherine in a casual conversation, she mentions that actually they were not thinking Catherine for this position. They were looking for the alumna with strong connections and women from the right families, but none of them were available. That's why they offered the job to Catherine, which shows that actually Catherine's actions were quite courageous. She could just play safe, teach the textbook, and leave quietly. But she take the HR frame ideal and prioritize students' needs, which later students will also understand this. So another key character in the movie is the President Jocelyn Carr. She embodies the structural frame. Bowman and Dill mentions that structural leaders tries to design and implement the policies and architecture related to the circumstances. So Jocelyn represents administrative values and defends institutions' traditions. She punishes rule breakers, evaluates Catherine based on her adherence to the institution structure, not for her let's say teaching effectiveness. Also, Bowman and Dill, when talking about structural frame, they mentioned they focus on the strategies, structure, goal, metrics, rubrics, specialized roles. So when we look at Wellesley, we can see that there's a clear hierarchy. There is board of trustees, president, faculty, and the students, and all the policies and processes function in order to maintain structural stability. Another important character is also from faculty, Bill Dunbar. He's an Italian educator, and in one of the conversations with Catherine, Bill mentions that they have their own way of doing things here, so you just have to find a way to work with them. We all had to do it. This mentions that Bill also lied about being in Europe in order to get acceptance and maintain his comfortable position at the university. So Bowman and Dial mentions that individuals like Bill, actually they stay in their job, but withdraw psychologically and become indifferent, passive, and apathetic. Another character I would like to mention is Betty Warren. She's a student, and she also defends tradition conformity at the beginning of the movie, and she blames Catherine for not respecting their tradition and for being against the students to form the roles they were born for. But later, when her marriage fails and she faces rejection from her mother, her mother actually advises her to endure affair quietly, maintain appearance, just because the women were doing that way. So she decides that this tradition doesn't align with their happiness, with their it's just about appearance. So she signs divorce paper and she decides to go to the Yale Law School, inspired by Catherine. So she in her last newspaper editorial, she mentions Catherine as an extraordinary woman who helped them to see the truth beyond the tradition, beyond definitions, and beyond image. And about Catherine, what she actually did wrong was only following her emotions. She could use some structure. She didn't have any structural plan. She could use structure. She could use different convincing methods to convince them that critical thinking build better wives and mothers for the future. So she mainly actually her leaving the school was not a defeat, but it was her winning and her let's say her defending, her valuing her integrity over let's say requirements.